So according to the NFL Players Association, Clark Hunt, owner of the Chiefs, comes in as the worst owner in the NFL. And I'm just here to say I'm not buying it. I'm not. The NFL Players Association puts out these polls on a yearly basis. And in this poll, it shows that Clark Hunt was ranked as the 32nd NFL owner of 32 teams with an F- mark.
Clark Hunt and Mark Davis walk into a bar. Which guy are you going to hang out with, right?
Yeah.
Mark Davis, the Raiders, right?
Yeah, the goofball with the mullet. Oh, the bowl cut.
I was surprised by this, and I'm always wondering what factors and all that kind of stuff. I've heard a little bit about it, but why they would put him that low, or how many guys have to give him that low of a grade to make it that score. You know what I mean?
Well, here's some of the information for you. The number one complaint when it comes to the facilities is the locker room. Though the players received actual chairs with backs to sit in at their lockers in response to last year's feedback, it did not change the fact that the locker room is overdue for a renovation. Now, this is the training locker room where the players spend most of the week, not the locker room before the game.
Arrowhead had been remodeled recently.
Yes. What adds to the frustration is that management told the players that renovations would come after the 2022 season. The players went on to win the Super Bowl, and when they arrived back at their facility for last season, they realized the team never followed through with the promised renovation, other than adding the chairs. The Chiefs players also believe they have a poor training room. The players feel the training room is significantly understaffed, only 43% of the team responding that they get adequate amount of one-on-one treatment time. Players feel the staff is unwilling to provide the necessary treatment to support recovery and performance. For example, players are not allowed to get preventative treatment, soft tissue work for soreness and day-to-day issues, a regular offering across the NFL. The report states here, lastly, from the results, it's clear there has not been a significant reinvestment back into the facilities even after consistent success. That has led to a high level of frustration among players, respondents, and reflects in club owner Clark Hunt's ranking as the least willing to invest in team facilities among all NFL owners and ownership groups, in the opinions of the respondents. Okay. Now, set all that aside. Find me a player in any professional sport who is making his decision on where to play based on how tricked out the practice facility locker rooms are. Anyone? Bueller? Going once? Okay, I didn't think so. You know, I don't think players say, hey, the Chiefs offered me $2 million more than the Broncos, but, you know, the Broncos have this great locker room that I really want to walk into every day, so I'm going to leave $2 million a year on the table to go play in Denver. Anyone taking a discount that you're aware of to play for a team with a better locker room? I didn't think so. You know where the cool locker rooms matter? The cool locker rooms matter in college, or at least used to matter in college. Before there was name, image, likeness, and guys were making money left and right. Before that, how did you recruit the top guys? You brought them in and you said, look at this awesome locker room. You know, you got iPads at your fingertips. You got your name here on the scroll at the top of the locker. Your jersey's hanging in there. There's lights everywhere. It's so cool. Look at our locker room. And that was before guys were getting paid over the table. They were still oftentimes getting paid under the table. But when it comes to getting paid legally, that's when really cool locker rooms mattered. But now you go get your bag, you hope you have a winning team, and the rest is generally icing on the cake. I don't buy this for a second because it hasn't really impacted the Chiefs' ability to get guys. Now, you might say that's mostly Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, and that's fine. But even if they didn't have those guys, no one's taking discounts for cool locker rooms. Now, Clark Hunt was asked about this yesterday after the press conference to roll out the new renderings for Arrowhead Stadium, and here's part of what he had to say.
Did you tell the players, though, that they would get a renovated locker room? Well, we did completely renovate the locker room here in the stadium a couple of years ago, so I'm not sure which locker room you're referring to.
With these renovation plans, then and the Chiefs ranking near the bottom of those report cards for another year, just what do you think this kind of sends off to the players with this message of the lack of renovations for them as well?
Yeah, well, I mentioned that the practice facility is something we're going to continue to think about. It's coming up on 20 years. We certainly, in a lot of ways, have outgrown it, and we recognize that we have a need to expand it and modernize it.
Did you guys
That was a very pleasant response for Clark Hunt, just taking the arrows and trying to move on, and good for him. You know, some of the other things that stood out to me that show me in part how out of touch some of these NFL players are with the real world. The Chargers, Los Angeles Chargers, right in the AFC West with the Chiefs, they got an F on their report card for food and cafeteria. Why? They provide a family room at the stadium. They provide daycare, but not on site, and the players have to pay for their own daycare. The team charges $75 for the first child and $50 for each additional child per family. Okay, and that apparently was a big turnoff for a lot of the Chargers players. In the real world, maybe there's a couple of companies doing it, but I don't know of a lot of companies that are paying for your kids' daycare and offering it on site at your place of business. Do you know? Have you heard a lot of that? I mean, you know, maybe I'm out of touch at 913-408-7957.
Well, that's today's workforce, Pete, right? You get work for one of the new companies that offers that. They've got on-site daycare. So I'm going to work home remote. I'm going to take my kid to work and drop him off and go back home and work remotely. That's the way it works.
I was hoping they'd turn the second floor into a daycare for you and me.
Yeah, you're right. Between the two of us there, Mark, we've got 6 girls that could use some daycare.
Right.
We're on the 3rd floor here in Corporate Woods.
Careful to be on the promotions team before you know it.
Well, child labor never hurt anybody. But like the Chargers players are upset that they have to pay for their own daycare and that the daycare is not on site with the stadium. Wow. Welcome to the real world. You've got to figure out what to do with your kids. And by the way, most people that have to do that are making 50, 100, 150 grand a year, not $1 million, $2 million, $3 million a year.
Mark and I were trying to figure out the scenario where NFL player is responsible for child care while he's going to practice or whatever, right?
What do you mean?
Well, I'm saying, why would you have a daycare at the facility?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess if you're a single parent.
That's what I'm like. Why would the NFL starting wide receiver be in charge of his child's care at that point when he's the big breadwinner at that point? Right?
Well, that's a good question as well.
You've got money to pay Aunt Nanny to come to town, et cetera, et cetera. So the whole notion that there would be a daycare at an NFL stadium facility perplexes me in general.
Where's the mother? Let's just ask the question.
Not even that, just somebody, right?
So, or anybody.
Anybody, grandma, whatever, nanny, whoever.
Pay for your own damn daycare. This is ridiculous. And it's showing to me that some of these players are just woefully out of touch with the real world. You make more than enough money, even if you're on a rookie contract, all right? You're making more than enough money to figure out your own daycare situation, just like everyday Americans do. So welcome to the real world. Put on your big boy pants. You had a baby. You made a choice in life. Now you've got to figure it out on your own, like an adult. And to tie it back to the Chiefs getting an F, that's another reason where I'm just like, please, I'm not buying it at all. 913-408-7957. Jim is out east. What's up, Jim? Good morning. Jim, what's happening, buddy?
Oh, and just back to your point about the locker room facilities and stuff like that, we did get an Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes without all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly right. You draft right, you get the right guys in there, you get the right coaches in there, and the rest will follow. And guess what? I promise you, I'll take the Chiefs' culture in that locker room every single day over the fancy locker room that like the New York Jets might have.
Yeah, Pete, but does it get results? 3 feet?
Yeah, I'd say the results are just fine.
Mm-hmm.
So pump the brakes on this Clark Hunt is the worst owner stuff, and the NFL, players are demanding daycare and demanding better practice facility locker rooms and things like that. Here on Main Street, just keep playing football. And by the way, I know many of you are probably about to be dropping your kids off at daycare, wondering where your company or when your company or if your company is ever going to foot that bill. And I promise you it's not coming because that's not how it works in Realville. Coming up on KCMO Talk Radio. Well, that was one study. That was one test that was done with the Chiefs and the NFL Players Association. There was another important study done, and it has to do with Joe Biden's health. His health summary was released yesterday by his